Good morning.
And it's Commissioner Morgan.
President.
Good morning. And Mr. Rusty, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, President Feinstein, and you have my deepest condolences.
Oh, thank you.
Bad news.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Morgan. Good morning, Mr. Rusty.
Morning, Vice President Nicasio. Everyone.
Okay, and we do believe Commissioner Covington is joining us, correct, Madam Secretary?
That is my understanding. I've sent her an email. I might just give her a quick call now.
Okay, yeah, we've got 1 minute to go. Might as well. I mean, we have a quorum, but might as well confirm what she's doing today. I'll go put more water in here early. We're back again. Sorry. Just take your.
So I just talked to Commissioner Covington, and she said she needed to call me back. She was dealing with the crisis.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings, Chief Nicholson. Greetings and salutations.
And to you, Madam President, and Vice President, and Commissioner, and everyone else.
Before we go on to the record, Madam President, can I ask a question of clarity from the Secretary and Mr. Rusky about today's hearing, that as long as we have a quorum, to you, Madam President, do we have the ability to still proceed, depending upon Commissioner Covington?
We do.
Okay, thank you.
We do. I just want to give her the opportunity. I'm not sure if a crisis involves the need for a San Francisco Fire Department piece of equipment, or if it's something less significant.
Understand. The member's on now. Thank you. I'll wait till we call officially open.
Perfect.
So she needs about 10 minutes to wrap up the situation she's dealing with, or did you want to start without her?
Well, if we start without her, she can't join late. And given the concern I expressed earlier, I'm a little nervous about just proceeding with the three of us.
Listening to President Feinstein.
Who are we missing?
Commissioner Covington.
Oh, okay.
So did you want to wait the 10 minutes for her, President Feinstein?
Mr. Russi?
I'm not sure what the question is, but it's not up to me whether whoever is going to participate in the deliberations in this matter needs to be here in the hearing for the entire hearing and hear all the evidence. So that's the legal issue.
Can I have, this is Commissioner Morgan, can I make a motion to have a 10-minute recess?
Well, we're not in session, so I don't think we need a motion.
All right, let's do this, and I apologize to everybody. Let's reconvene at 10:20, and we'll see if Commissioner Covington is with us. If she's not, we're just going to continue on, and I thank you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Jeff, we can hear you.
Okay, just making sure because I don't see anybody's faces.
Yeah, nobody else is back on yet.
Okay, all right.
They're past their time right now. It's supposed to be 10:20. Now it's like 10:23. Something's going on.
Yeah, they're trying to find a substitute.
Commissioner Covington is logging on, I see.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Commissioner.
I'm so sorry. There was nothing I could do. So I got here as soon as I could, and I'm sorry if I am a little frazzled, but I'm here.
Well, welcome. We then now have a full commission, and there's Vice President Nicasio. So I think we are ready to go, and I thank
Okay.
everybody for their patience.
Did we notify the public of the time change to 10:20 so we can have opportunity for public comment?
They're all lined up.
Okay, great.
Public comment, it just holds. So
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
okay.
Okay.
And also, is,
Commissioner-
Stephen DeCloney, are you representing me today?
Oh, I didn't see you down there. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. I'm Jeff. I'm here if you need me or if you got any questions for anything. So,
Yeah, I would appreciate
whatever you may or may not need.
Yeah, your representation on this matter. Yes, that'd be great.
Okay. I will stick around then.
All right, perfect.
Okay, Fire Commission special meeting, March 2nd, 2022. The time is 10:26. This meeting is being held by WebEx pursuant to the governor's executive orders and the mayoral proclamations declaring the existence of a local emergency. During the coronavirus disease emergency, the Fire Commission's regular meeting room at City Hall is closed, and meetings of the Fire Commission will convene remotely. To join the meeting, use the link on the posted agenda. To participate during public comment, please call 1-415-655-0001 and use access code 2483-343-6783. Members of the public will have opportunities to participate during public comment. The public is asked to wait for the particular agenda item before making a comment on that item. Comments will be addressed in the order they are received. When the moderator announces that the commission is taking public comment, members of the public can raise their hand by pressing *3 and you will be queued. Callers will hear silence when waiting for your turn to speak. Operator will unmute you. When prompted, callers will have the standard 3 minutes to provide comment. Ensure you are in a quiet location, speak clearly, and turn off any TVs or radios around you. Item 1, roll call. President Catherine Feinstein.
Present.
Vice President Stephen Nakajo.
Present.
Commissioner Francie Covington.
Present.
Commissioner Army Morgan.
Present. Yeah, present.
Will I proceed with item 2, or did we want to do further introductions?
Well, let me just say, I am Commission President Catherine Feinstein, and as we know, my other commissioners are present here with me today. We're also joined by Commission Secretary Maureen Conifrey, Chief of the Department Janine Nicholson, Certified Court Reporter Lucy Carrillo Grubbs, and Commission Counsel from the City Attorney's Office, Bradley Russey. So I believe everybody has been introduced. We also have Mr. Giacalone from Local 798, who has indicated that he will be representing EMT Chedwick in this hearing today. The one thing I just want to make clear before we go on, which is that one person questions a witness. That's kind of standard procedure. So that needs. I mean, there's one city attorney representing the department, Ms. Stoughton, and she will be questioning her witnesses. And then her witnesses can be cross-examined, but they can be cross-examined by either the member himself or his representative, not both. So I just wanted to make that clear. I think we should now move on to public comment.
I haven't gotten there yet, so I'll go with item 2, case number 2021-08, hearing and deliberations on verified complaint with the commission by Chief of Department. On November 3rd, 2021, Chief of Department Janine Nicholson filed a verified complaint with the Fire Commission against member for a non-disciplinary separation. This case may be heard in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B and San Francisco Administrative Code Section 67.10B. Item A, public comment on special meeting agenda item, possible closed session. Member of the public may comment on all matters pertaining to agenda item 2 and whether to consider the matter in closed session. Government Code Section 54954.3A and Administrative Code Section 67.15B. And we do have public comment.
So at what point can I make my opening statement?
You will have an opportunity. Public comment comes first, and I'll cue you as to when that is.
Perfect.
Okay.
Caller, would you like to make public comment? Hello, caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners, Chief. I'd like to begin with my offering my condolences to Commissioner Feinstein for her loss.
Oh, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I would like to let everyone know that's conducting this, the commissioners, that this will be your legacy. And this is what you'll be remembered for, nothing else. The public doesn't know anything else that you do. The public is very aware of what's going on here. I'm a third generation San Franciscan, very involved in the Irish community, which is a huge political force in the city. And I know that this is an honorary position that leads, it's a ladder to other political ambitions, and we will remember you. And I will make it a point to inform everyone when you strive for an elected position, what you did here, what you're doing here. And this won't be forgotten. This will be your legacy. That is all.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
I would, thank you.
Okay, your time starts now.
I would like to echo the previous statement, Madam Feinstein. I'm very sorry for your loss. I'll be praying for you. I'd also like to discuss a moment of gratitude for the retirees who continue to show up in support of these firefighters. They don't have to do that. They got a paycheck, but they're deeply, deeply moved by this entire situation, and they would have had an amazing career had they not. I would also like to ask, where did the Honorable Mr. Ken Cleveland go? He seemed to have logical and unbiased questions. After asking them, he was no longer with the commission. I would like to request, in the spirit of transparency, one of the commissioners make a public comment as to where the Honorable Ken Cleveland went after his last commission hearing. To dovetail on the topic of a commissioner who is being unbiased, these firefighters have the right to due process. Due process leads to a fair and impartial judgment. How does an impartial commissioner make a public statement that says that she wouldn't, in an emergency, want an unvaccinated firefighter to respond to her house in an emergency? How does an unbiased commissioner take data and facts that are presented and simply make the blanket statement, quote, I don't know, but before the vaccine, people were dying, and afterwards, people are not? And this was said without diving into actual evidence presented by those representing themselves in these hearings. I'm sure that the commission understands that the chief of the department, who was fully vaccinated, contracted COVID-19 and potentially spread it to many of the other fully vaccinated firefighters in the department. Yet, this commission continues to fire good, competent firefighters who wish to exercise their rights. I don't believe that any firefighter here thinks that nobody should take the vaccine. People here believe that it is up to a personal decision for their medical health. To the Fire Commission, you do absolutely have the ability to take this seriously. You do absolutely have the power to challenge this to higher entities. You can spread the light to this broken country and world. Unless your mentors are tyrants, I ask that you think about your mentors and the people that you've looked up to through the years and wonder what they would do if they were in your situation. Would they sit idly by? Would they sit idly by and just watch, turn a blind eye so that they can keep their power, their money, or maybe just not have the stress of the situation?
Your time is
I
up,
would
sir.
imagine a lot of... Thank you.
Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Your time starts.
Retired firefighter under duress, San Francisco Fire Department. I would like to first share my condolences with Commissioner, President of the Commission, Feinstein. Sorry for your loss. And I'll also be praying for all of you. I would just like to make a quick statement about, can you guys hear me? Because I see my screen looks frozen.
We hear you.
Oh, crap. Hello, can you hear me?
We hear you, Chris.
Did I get cut off? Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if you heard my first comment. Condolences to
Yes.
Commissioner Feinstein. Okay. A lot was said about the religious exemptions and personal choice or not. I'm a non-denominational Christian. I would suggest that all of you read chapter 14 from Romans in the Bible. I submitted that with my religious exemption request that was denied. It speaks to how different people have different convictions. Some may eat meat and others may not, depending on whether or not their conscience allows them to do one or the other. So our conscience did not allow us to take the shot for various reasons. Some religious and some scientific. But we couldn't file a scientific exemption. We could only file a religious exemption. And there's also talk made about we're only talking about us not adhering to the general order or to the health order. And it said that is indisputable. But that's not indisputable because we all filed exemptions and we all sent in tons of paperwork to make our points. So everything that you guys are saying is undisputed is actually very disputed. And Eddie McHugh made that point very eloquently. That's pretty much all I'm going to say today. There's more coming. I'll pray for all of you because you're making bad decisions. And like my man Mike Crotty said, I hate to bust you out, Mike, but I don't think you care. But history is not going to look favorably on these commission meetings. They're tyrannical and they're not very fair at all. So, hey, God bless you, Jeff, today. Praying for you, my man.
Thanks, Chris.
That's it.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would. Could you hear me?
Yes, your time starts now.
All right, great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Jeff shouldn't be fired. Jeff, like the chief, who I have great respect for, has saved lives in the back of the ambulance and also doing his duties. I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to run out of time. Lucy Chu and the theologian city attorney Yan are completely wrong and lied yesterday. These are quotes from my religious exemption. Vaccination is not a universal obligation and a person must obey his or her own conscience. Therefore, if a Catholic comes to inform judgment that he or she should not receive a vaccine, then the Catholic Church requires that the person follow this judgment of conscience and refuse the vaccine. The Catechism is clear. Man has the right to act in conscience and in freedom as so personally to make moral decisions. He must not be forced to act contrary to his conscience. nor must he be prevented from acting according to his conscience. Yesterday, we have on record Lucy Chu and the city attorney saying it would be impractical to grant religious exemptions, and that they did so by which religion you were. That is the definition of religious discrimination under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. We have the chief on record saying that the evidence she used for subsection A and D in section 6 of the health order is a conversation between her, the city's attorney, and her command staff on whether or not she can accommodate firefighters. In this present instance, the city and the department have failed to provide any evidence to support its assertions that accommodating a handful of religious exemptions would pose a safety threat, prevent employees from performing essential functions, or impose undue hardship. See Sturgill versus United Parcel, 8th Circuit Court, 2008, explaining that an employer must establish that the hardship is real rather than speculative, merely conceivable or hypothetical, and that undue hardship cannot prove assumptions nor opinions based on hypothetical facts. It's painfully obvious no one here has taken the time to read the health order. On record yesterday, or whenever it was, subsection C, section 5, subsection C, appendix A, section 5, subsections A, B, and D, on record, the chief said in the health order state that unvaccinated can remove their mask while showering, eating, and drinking. We had to sit here for 4 commission hearings and hear the nonsense and commissioners shaking their head in agreement that they can't accommodate because you can't watch me take a shower or Jeff take a shower with a mask on. It's not in the health order. We have on record yesterday, or whenever it was, subsection B of section 6 and Roman numeral 4.
Sir, your time is up. Caller, would you like to make public comment? Hello, caller? Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Hello, Jeff. I only know you from the other side of the radio, but I was already terminated from city employment for exercising my constitutional rights. So I'm here with you today. I would like to address the commissioners. Please explain to me how the city plans to move forward to potentially terminate essential city workers who worked during most of the pandemic, many of whom got COVID as a result and now have natural immunity, especially during a staffing shortage, an increase in 911 calls, fire and medical emergencies, and crime. The public health order that was put into effect under a state of emergency should no longer exist. At the State of the Union address, masks were optional last night. In my children's school, they will no longer be required to wear a mask after next week, regardless of vaccination status. Also, multiple countries around the world are now dropping all vaccination mandates due to lower cases, high vaccination rates, and the fact that the Omicron is the primary variant. City employees that have not received their booster and who under CDC guidelines are now considered not fully vaccinated or not up to date are now being given testing and masking options. Why are unvaccinated employees not being given the same rights? When the state of emergency ends on March 31st and the public health order gets rescinded, none of these rules will mean anything. So why would you move to terminate now? That's all.
Thank you. And I believe that is all of public comment. Let me just go down the list here.
Maureen?
Yes?
Can I just let you and the commissioners and Jeff know as well? Jeff, like I said, I'm happy to help if you have any questions in any way. Just also know that I don't have an official detail from the department. So if I'm at work today, so if something big comes in or something, I may have to jump off, okay? Just so you know.
Okay, well, I was just hoping, you being my union representative, that you would be there.
Yeah, I'll
pages.
And there is no more public comment.
Okay. So can I, okay.
Let me just make it official, and public comment is closed. and we need to consider, and I'm not sure who to address this to, whether to address it to Mr. Chedwick or Mr. Giacalone. But Mr. Chedwick, it's your your call whether you wish to proceed in open session or closed session. And let me just make this statement, which is that Section 7B of the procedural rules, which I know Mr. Giacalone is quite familiar with, provides that members do have this right to have a hearing on a verified complaint, which is what this is, held in open session subject to 7D. And that 7D also allows the commission to hold some or all of the hearing in closed session for reasons such as third-party privacy rights or where disclosure of certain information is prohibited under law. So first thing, sir, from you or your representative, do you wish to proceed in open hearing?
Yeah, open hearing.
Open hearing, okay. All right, that's how we will proceed. Unless, does the city attorney have any response?
The department has no objection.
All right, good. Just that we're established with that. And I think we need a vote on that, Madam Secretary.
Do we need a vote? I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
I think only if we were going into closed session.
Mr. Russi?
This is Brad Russi. As we have done in the last couple of hearings, you've deferred the vote on whether to deliberate in closed session until after the hearing is complete, which I think is fine under the agenda.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the assistance. All right, so we are going to proceed at this point, and we are, I believe, ready. We have all the, I think we've already established that we have the pre-hearing filings, Exhibit A and B from the department. I also have the pre-hearing statement, we all do, that was filed by Member Chedwick. And just double checking here because these hearings have involved a lot of paper. Are we missing anything? Okay, I'm not hearing that we are, so I assume we have the complete documents and marked exhibits. Okay, so let me just summarize how this will work today. We will, each party will present an opening statement, and Mr. Chedwick, you have the option, if you're going to be making the opening statement rather than your representative, and that's your choice.
Yeah, I'll be making my own.
Okay, all right.
I just wanted to see if Stephen Giacalone can explain the grievance I have also with the department.
I can't, I don't understand that question.
There's a grievance.
That's entirely separate. That's entirely separate from this hearing.
Yeah, just a brief explanation. Yeah, Jeff, unfortunately that is a completely separate matter. And
okay.
that's not really going to be addressed here.
Okay. Well, I'll just move forward to my opening statement then.
Okay. Please just let me finish because it's important. I put into the record how we're going to proceed and what the rules are. So each side gives an opening statement. The member has an option because the department will present first. They carry the burden of proof. And then you can either present your opening statement right after the department's counsel presents on behalf of the department, or you can wait until after the department has put in its evidence, and before you begin your evidence, you can give the opening statement then. And that's totally your call. After either one opening statement or both, depending upon what you select, the department will present its case. Then you will present your case. The department may present rebuttal evidence, again, because they have the burden of proof in this matter. Each side can cross-examine the other side's witnesses. When that process is done, closing argument then is presented by the department first, followed by closing argument by the member, and then the department may present a brief rebuttal argument. We've talked about the time limits. We're a little off schedule today, but I know everybody received the scheduling letter, so we're going to do our best to try to stick to that. And it is your obligation, because our secretary will be keeping a clock that you should be able to see on your screen, but to please determine that you're staying within your time limit, so you can judge what you need and want to say. Throughout the hearing, if the one side has an objection to testimony or evidence being offered, you should state that objection and the grounds for it, and then I will rule and either allow the question. If I sustain an objection, there will be no answer. If I overrule an objection, the witness will answer. And also, if the parties need at whatever time, to take a recess, just because I'm looking at a lot of you, please just raise your hand. We will accommodate that. I need to also be mindful. We're joined by our court reporter here, and being well trained by certified court reporters, they need a break at certain points. So, Madam Court Reporter, just raise your hand if you need a break, please. And the same, of course, applies should any of the any participants need to take a break. Before I forget, under Rule 11A of our procedural rules, we must ask you to enter your plea, please. And the question to be answered is, do you agree or disagree with the chief's stated reasons for requesting your separation?
Disagree.
Thank you. All right. So the plea has been entered, and I think we're ready to go to opening statements. And Ms. Stoughton.
I'm right here.
Thank you. Sorry.
Am I permitted to begin?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. The question before the Fire Commission is whether to uphold the chief's recommendation for a non-disciplinary separation for EMT Jeffrey Chedwick for his failure to comply with the vaccination requirement of the city's health order, as well as General Order 21A-70. The health order was issued by the city's health officer to address the public health risks raised during the COVID-19 pandemic. Together, the health order and the general order require employees such as EMT Chedwick, who may enter or work in high-risk settings, to be fully vaccinated by October 13th, 2021, unless they received an approved exemption due to a disability or sincerely held religious belief. Personal belief exemptions were not permitted under the health order. The health order cautioned that there were some instances where an unvaccinated employee could not continue to work in a high-risk setting, even if they otherwise qualified for an exemption and could be masked at all times and could undergo weekly testing. the health order is clear in its own words that those two elements, testing, weekly testing and masking, were the minimum safeguards employers had to utilize. The health order laid out several factors to consider when analyzing whether unvaccinated employees who received an exemption could be accommodated. The first was whether the unvaccinated employee will place other people at risk of transmission of COVID-19 because they are required to come into contact, including on an emergency basis, other employees or with persons whose vaccination status is unknown, who are not yet eligible for the vaccine, or who are members of a vulnerable population. And this includes the elderly, incarcerated people, and acute care patients. Another factor listed in the health order is the type and frequency of testing available and whether the employer has the ability to provide that testing without relying on public health resources. Another factor was whether the government entity can ensure compliance with the mask mandate whenever the unvaccinated employee is around other people in the workplace. And finally, whether the proposed accommodation imposes an undue burden because it is costly, it infringes on other employees' job rights or benefits, it compromises workplace safety, it decreases workplace efficiency, or it requires other personnel to do more than their share of potentially hazardous or burdensome work. Under those guidelines from the health order, the chief of the department determined that even if employees could establish that they had a sincerely held religious belief or a disability, the department could not accommodate them because of the heightened risk to the public that they serve, as well as to other departmental employees. EMT Chedwick was not given an exemption from the vaccination requirement. The facts before the Fire Commission are undisputed. The health order and general order requires EMT to be vaccinated unless he has a valid exemption. EMT Chedwick was not granted an exemption from this requirement. EMT Chedwick was not fully vaccinated as defined by the health order by October 13th, 2021. It's undisputed then that EMT Chedwick did not comply with the health order or general order and is not permitted to work in high-risk settings. The validity of the health order is not at issue in these proceedings. The health officer issued that order pursuant to the authority and mandates available to her under law. Neither the San Francisco Fire Department nor the San Francisco Fire Commission have the jurisdiction or authority to modify or change or ignore any portion of the health order's mandate. The health order clearly sets forth the definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated, including what vaccines were considered to be fully vaccinated, the definition of a high-risk settings, and the parameters that employers should consider when determining whether to accommodate employers. EMT Chedwick's disagreement with the health order is beyond the jurisdiction of this commission to adjudicate. Despite being aware of his obligation to comply with the health order and the general order and the consequences of not complying, EMT Chedwick chose not to be vaccinated. This commission should uphold the decision to non-disciplinary separation.
Thank you, Ms. Stoughton. Now, EMT Chedwick, let me ask you if you wish to give your opening statement at this time. I lost, okay, you're back. Yeah. I lost visual contact, sorry. If you wish to give your opening statement at this time or after the department presents its case, your call.
I don't think it will matter too much, so I'll just get mine out of the way first.
Okay.
So, as we all know, this COVID-19 epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, has been an evolving thing. Rules and laws kind of need to change a little bit with this because, as we were promised when this all started, that getting this vaccine was going to prevent you from getting COVID-19 or spreading the vaccine. We've all found that to be false, extremely false, because unfortunately all my friends and coworkers in the fire department have been getting COVID, spreading COVID between the houses. Houses have been browned out. People have been going on, disability leave, all that. But the sheer fact is I got COVID in January the 14th of this year. It didn't take me down. I'm back stronger than ever because I have natural immunities. And just like COVID, we've been seeing it change, how it's been evolving throughout the past years. I feel that these rules and laws need to change because, we're all going back to work, whether you got the vaccine, you didn't get the vaccine, you got COVID, you didn't get COVID. Everybody's going back to work in the fire department and being able to fulfill their jobs and their duties. I applied for not only a religious exemption, which was denied, of course, because everybody's was, but also a medical exemption. And I didn't feel that I really wanted to disclose the health information of myself due to talking to my doctor that gave me that exemption. But I'm free to talk about that. And that is my brother, my older brother, at 21 years of age, he was diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse and had to undertake open heart surgery. My dad, also at 64 years of age, right before he was going to retire, was also diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse and had to get open heart surgery too. So I'm 44 years of age. I'm pretty much right in between those two ages. And I feel I am very susceptible to getting some sort of cardiac injury from this vaccine. That was one of the things I based my decision on. And I love San Francisco Fire. I've been working in the city as a paramedic in EMT since 2008. I've seen it, the whole thing, the gambit, the epidemics that we've seen with heroin, now fentanyl, I've gone through it. So this little thing called COVID, being that we focused on it so much, but the flu has taken out millions of lives over the years too. I don't feel it's any more dangerous than that. I don't even think there's studies that show it's more dangerous than the flu. But basically, one of the things I'm asking also is, since this is an evolving thing, I wanted to see if I can get an administrative leave for possibly the next 2 years until things have changed and not get separated at this point, because we're finding out new things every day. And things are evolving, changing, and because we have this rule in place, I don't think this rule should just be carried out through the rest of my career, and I am just separated just like that. I'm asking for a continuance on my administrative leave till 1 to 2 years, just so things can kind of die out a little bit. And I guess the city would feel more safer for me to actually perform my duties as an EMT or in the paramedic realm. But let's see. I think that is pretty much it on what I need to say.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is the department prepared to call their first witness?
The department calls Chief Nicholson.
All right, Chief, if you would kindly raise your right hand, and Madam Court Reporter, if you would swear the chief.
Do you solemnly state you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And Chief, if you'd please state your full name for the record and spell it.
There's an echo.
Janine Nicholson, Jeanine, Nichholson, Chief of Department.
Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. Stoughton.
Thank you. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
Do you have the department exhibits in front of you?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to the document that's date stamped Chedwick 0007. It is in Department Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Are you there?
I am there.
Okay. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is the order of the health officer for the city and county of San Francisco regarding COVID-19.
In your role as a chief of the department, did you review this document?
Yes.
What did you understand the department's obligations to be under the health order?
That our members had to be fully vaccinated by October 13th of 2021, which means they had to have had their last shot 2 weeks prior.
Is the department obligated to comply with the health order?
We are.
Is the department able to modify or change the health order's rules in any way?
We are not.
Objection.
Okay, your grounds, please.
Has everybody in the department now been boosted, which is now required?
I cannot, that's not an appropriate objection. You'll have an opportunity to ask a question on cross-examination though.
Okay.
Okay, so if that objection is overruled.
Chief, did the health order define what it means to be fully vaccinated?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I'm going to have you turn in the same department exhibit, looking at Bates number 9.
Okay.
0009.
Yes.
And directing your attention to subsection K. Do you see that?
Fully vaccinated, yes.
Is this the definition of that the department relied on when determining whether employees were fully vaccinated?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And in your own words, can you tell us what it meant to be fully vaccinated?
Yeah, like I said earlier, 2 weeks prior to October 13th, you either had to have had one shot of the J&J vaccine, Johnson & Johnson, or you had to have your final shot in the series of the mRNA, either Pfizer or Moderna.
Did the health order mandate certain rules for employees in high-risk settings?
Yes, it did.
And still looking at City Exhibit 1, if you can turn to Bates number 18.
Okay.
And looking at subsection 6 that's entitled Vaccination Requirements for Personnel in High-Risk Settings and Other Healthcare Personnel. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Are these the rules from the health order that the department relied on?
Yes, these are the rules that we must follow at a minimum.
Okay. Did you determine that EMT Chedwick fell under the definition of an employee who works in a high-risk setting?
Yes.
And why is that?
EMT Chedwick is on an ambulance either 10 or 12 hours a day and is in people's homes. He could be in homeless shelters. He could be anywhere and interacting with all sorts of different people. He also goes to the hospitals numerous times a day. And he's in an enclosed space, in a small space in the back of the ambulance with patients and possibly with his partner as well.
Is there any way the department could guarantee that an EMT could not enter a high-risk setting?
No, there's no way.
Could EMT Chedwick perform the essential functions of his position if he is not permitted to enter high-risk settings?
No, he could not.
And why is that?
That's his job. Multiple times a day, he will likely be in a high-risk setting.
Okay. And you sort of did this before, but can you just give us a quick overview of an EMT's job duties?
Yes, as I said, an EMT spends 10 or 12 hours with a partner on an ambulance and responding to emergency and non-emergency medical calls and fires as well, and transports many people to the hospital, and as I said, enters people's homes.
Did the health order permit exemptions to the vaccination requirement?
Yes, it did.
And do you recall what those were?
Object.
Okay, your grounds, please.
No exemptions were granted.
I'm gonna overrule your objection, but you can follow up on cross-examination with that. That would be a more appropriate time.
Okay, Chief, I'll ask it again. Did the health order permit exemptions to this vaccination requirement?
Yes, based on medical or disability or a sincerely held religious belief.
Did the health order contain guidance about accommodating employees, or sorry, strike that. Did the health order contain guidance about accommodating unvaccinated employees in high-risk settings, even if they had a sincerely held religious belief or a disability?
Yes.
Okay. And turning now to Bates number 19, still on City Exhibit 1. And directing your attention to subsection A at the bottom of the page.
Yes.
And turning the page, subsection B, C, and D. Do you see those?
I do.
Okay. Did you review and rely on these provisions when determining whether the department could accommodate an unvaccinated employee?
I did.
Okay. Did you ultimately determine whether the department could accommodate unvaccinated employees?
Yes, we determined that we could not.
Okay. Do EMTs such as EMT Chedwick work with or come into contact with persons whose vaccination status is unknown?
Yes.
Do EMTs such as EMT Chedwick work with vulnerable populations?
Yes.
Does EMT such as EMT Chedwick work closely with patients in acute healthcare settings?
Yes.
Did the department analyze whether it could ensure that employees were masked at all times in the workplace?
Yeah, we cannot.
Then why is that?
We can't follow every single employee around 24/7 to ensure that they are vaccinated. I mean, to ensure that they are masked.
Okay. Is there a supervisor who could follow EMT Chedwick throughout his day to ensure that he was masked at all times?
No, while he has typically a paramedic partner, that's not considered a supervisor. And there are rescue captains that supervise the ambulances, but they can't be with him his entire shift.
Okay. Did you have any role in analyzing whether an employee had a sincerely held religious belief or a disability that prevented them from being vaccinated?
I did not.
Okay. Chief, turning back to the documents in front of you, still on City Exhibit 1, can you turn to Bates number 43?
Yes.
Do you recognize this document?
I do. It is a general order that I signed off on in August of 2021 regarding our COVID-19 vaccination policy.
Okay, and just quickly, what are general orders generally?
General orders are sent to everyone in the departments, and they are to be followed and abided by, and each individual has to actually sign off on that they've read and understood the general order.
And what did this specific general order do?
It so sorry, there's some voiceover here. Stand by for a second. So basically, it mandated that people not only report their vaccination status, but that they are vaccinated in the appropriate time frame.
And what rank is EMT Chedwick?
He is an H3.
And did this mandate in the general order apply to him as an H3?
It did, yes.
And how do we know that?
So on the next page, Chedwick 0044, it states what members are required to follow the health order.
And is that the sentence in bold about halfway down the page? It starts with all members in the following ranks.
Yes.
Did firefighter Chedwick comply with this general order?
He did not.
Did firefighter Chedwick comply with the health order?
Sorry, he's, if we can back up, he's EMT Chedwick, not firefighter Chedwick.
My apologies, EMT.
I'm the only one.
Yeah, sorry about that. Did EMT Chedwick comply with the health order?
No, he did not.
Okay. Did the department take any additional steps to notify employees of their need to comply with these orders?
We did. In addition to this being sent to everyone's homepage on our human resources management system, we also sent emails. We had one-on-one meetings with members that were not vaccinated, and phone calls were also made.
Chief, still in City Exhibit 1, turning to Bates number 4.
Okay.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
Is that your signature at the bottom of the document?
It is.
Okay. Can you tell us what this document is?
This document was a reminder to EMT Chedwick that the health order required him to be fully vaccinated by October 13th.
Did this October 18th letter notify EMT Chedwick that he would be subject to a non-disciplinary separation if he failed to comply with this order?
Yes, it did. And just for correction, it's October 8th, not October 18th.
Apologies. October 18th.
No, October 8th.
October 8th.
Yeah.
Turning now to Bates number 5, still in City Exhibit 1.
Yes.
Chief, do you recognize this document?
I do. This was a letter to EMT Chedwick advising him of notice of non-disciplinary separation.
Okay. And looking in the middle of the page, the boxes, that there's the first one says fire. Can you tell us what this is?
Yes, that is cut and pasted basically from the People and Pay portal, where our members were required to enter their vaccination status, and it clearly states Jeffrey Chedwick not vaccinated.
Okay. Does that mean that EMT Chedwick himself reported that he was not vaccinated?
Yes.
Okay. And is this your signature on this document on page Bates number 0006?
It is.
Did you hold an administrative meeting following for firefighter Chedwick following this submission of this letter?
For EMT Chedwick, yes, I did.
Okay. Do you recall if EMT Chedwick showed up for the administrative meeting?
Yes, he did.
Was he permitted to bring documents to support his position for that meeting?
Yes, he was.
Was he permitted to make statements
Yes.
in response?
Yes.
Following that administrative meeting, did you recommend him for non-disciplinary separation?
Yes.
Did you also place him on unpaid leave?
Yes.
Okay. Turning to Bates number 2, still in City Exhibit 2.
City Exhibit 2.
Sorry, City Exhibit 1, Bates number 2.
Oh, okay. City Exhibit 1, Bates number 2. Stand by. Okay.
Chief, do you recognize this document?
Yes, it is my letter to the Fire Commission recommending non-disciplinary separation for EMT Chedwick.
Chief, now turning to, this time to City Exhibit 2, Bates number 54 and 55.
Okay.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is a letter from the city's Department of Human Resources and Local 798.
And what did this letter do?
It talked about how people are put on administrative leave with pay, without pay, but that October 13th was the date.
Did the department comply with the procedures laid out in this agreement with the union?
Yes, we did.
No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Stoughton. And cross-examination of the chief, will that be conducted by the member or by Mr. Giacalone?
Can we both? I'd like to start out with a few questions for Cross.
Yes, but then you will be the one cross-examining. As I indicated before, one witness doesn't get cross-examined by two people.
Yeah,
So-
just a second. Let me just ask Stephen, are you going to have any cross for the chief?
I am not.
Okay, then
So I will trust your judgment.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So please proceed.
Okay. Chief, I just was wanted to go over a couple things. So are all your current employees fully vaccinated and boosted as required by the updated mandate?
Objection, Black's Foundation.
Overruled.
So not everyone has been boosted yet.
Okay, so what are we doing with that? Are they getting letters now, or how is this coming through like we were?
The date has been extended, I believe, to April 15th.
So is there a possibility it'll be extended after that?
I couldn't say.
Okay, so why was the date extended?
Objection calls for speculation.
That's sustained.
Yeah.
That's a valid question. I want to know why. What is the reasoning for the extension?
I just ruled that it's calls for speculation and also is irrelevant at this point.
What's quite relevant to my case, because they didn't extend us.
I've made a ruling, and I'm going to ask that you ask another question.
I'm just letting you know. It's yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So, who determined religious belief for the exemptions?
It was not I. It was determined, I believe, in concert with city's DHR and the city attorney.
So, was anybody with a religious background consulted on a religious exemption?
Consulted with? What do you mean by consulted with?
Meaning these are religious exemptions. If you don't have someone with a religious expertise to deny these religious exemptions, how is that possible?
Again, I did not have anything to do with these, determining these, so I can't answer.
Okay, so I was denied, but we can't answer why.
I don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer to, if you're asking me if there was somebody, a religious expert helping with this, I have no idea.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem for any grounds for denial. So I just don't understand that.
Well, I don't know. So
okay,
that's my answer. I don't know because I was not involved in that process.
Will we have ability to get the people's names that were involved with that process?
So I think that is separate from this in terms of the grievance that Local 798 has filed, and it's a separate issue than what we are here for today.
Okay. Also, do general orders ever get amended?
Yes.
Okay. So, because I would like to be on, have an extension of my administrative leave for a couple years until this possibly gets amended, because I see as things are going through that a lot of changes are happening.
So that
I'm not sure what the question is there.
That isn't, you need to ask a question, sir.
Okay, that I'll do that in my closing statements then. I think that is actually just one sec. So with the vaccinated chief members, can we trust that they are all masking throughout their day?
So do I know if everyone is masking throughout the day? I do not.
Okay.
I'm not around every single person, so I don't know.
Exactly. Yes, I understand that. What is the definition of what we call hazardous working environment? Basically, the reason I couldn't work. How are we coming with that? The actual definition of that?
So it wasn't hazardous; it was high risk. And
yeah, high risk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the health order was determined by put together by the city's health officer. And high risk, I believe it states it in that general order, sort of what that is.
Okay.
Not in the general order, sorry, in the health order.
I understand. So, are our current employees that are fully vaccinated still being infected with the COVID-19?
Yes, they are. But what I can say, Jeff, is that data shows us that they are being infected at a lower rate than those without the vaccine.
Okay. I just got infected in January. Just saying. First time. I think that's pretty much all I have for the chief.
All right. Thank you very much. Is there any redirect?
There is.
All right. Please, Ms. Stoughton.
Chief, who determines when employees in a high-risk setting must have their booster?
That would be the health officer of the city and county of San Francisco.
And any requirements for boosting in a high-risk setting, is that found in a health order?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
All right. Thank you. And is there any recross? In other words, if there's a question you have that is related to what Ms. Stoughton just asked, you can ask it.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Does that conclude the chief's testimony?
It does. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you. And do you have your next witness? Oh, wait. Vice President Nicasio?
Is it appropriate if the commission, myself, could now ask a question before this witness is excused that's related to the evidence that was referred by the city attorney while I have the city attorney and Mr. Giacalone on the call? It's a question of clarification, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Mr. Russi, I need to turn to you, sir.
The commissioners can ask the chief a question if they have a question for the chief.
All right, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to refer this then through the chief, but I know it might be an answer. I'll be interested in what 798 Mr. Giacalone could provide as well. Just an informational. Madam City Attorney, you introduced the letter from Department of Human Resources to President Buford of 798. I think it was 00540055. And at this point, can I make reference to that, or does this need to be submitted officially, Madam President?
Well, it's been admitted into evidence in all the cases in which it's been presented. So I think it's appropriate if you have a question about it. That's perfectly within bounds, as we say.
All right, thank you very much for that clarification, Madam President. You know, it is three references that I just need clarity in terms of. Again, Madam City Attorney, I'm looking at 0054. Mr. Giacalone, you might be at a disadvantage if you don't have this letter in front of you, so I might have to.
Afraid I do not.
All right, so for the record, but I'm going to paraphrase this if I can to you, Chief, on that letter as well, Mr. Stoughton. On the bottom of page 0054, that page, the first page, if you will, on the last paragraph, I'm going to paraphrase since Mr. Giacalone doesn't have it. I don't know what's within the rules, but it talks about a member that received either 2 doses, it's the third line from the bottom, of either Moderna or Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, or 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine on or before October 13, 2021. And then it says, additionally, such employees will not receive a notice of intent to separate and will not be subject to an administrative hearing. My question, and there's a question in the back, second page, is how does the membership, or how does Chief, I'm going to direct the question through you, and perhaps 798 might be able to jump in. How does the membership of the department know about that particular date of October 13th, and if the compliance occurs, will not receive a notice of intent to separate? So that's the first question. Can you hold on to the second page, 0055? Second paragraph at the very end, line 3. It says, at any time receive notice of intent to separate before the conclusion of the Fire Commission termination hearings. Such employees may return to full duty after providing evidence of becoming fully vaccinated. So my question is the same question when it compares to this on 0055 and 0054. I know it's written between DHRD department and I see the CC, but my question generally is, how does the membership of the department become privy to this information?
Yeah, I can speak to that, Vice President Nakajo, Chief Nicholson. So we put out a general order. We also sent that to every person's human resources management system page where they're required to check off on it. We sent that information out down the chain of command verbally. We again had the general order, and we sent notices to the members that were not vaccinated. In addition, we made phone calls to the members that were not vaccinated. So there was ample opportunity for people to know what the due date was.
Okay, thank you from the department point of view. Mr. Giacalone, do you want to respond to my question in terms of the membership?
Sure. If I understand the question correctly, you're asking how does or how did Local 798 disseminate that same information? Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Giacalone.
So at almost, actually, I'm 99% sure at every monthly general membership meeting that we've had during the pandemic, we've discussed in particular, amendments to the city's health orders, which have been numerous and sometimes difficult to keep up with, unfortunately, but we've discussed those. We've also discussed the the issuance of these general orders, and in particular, the general orders that that referenced deadlines, whether it be a reporting deadline or a vaccination deadline. We've discussed those at union meetings, and we've also discussed those at the supplemental or additional meetings that we've scheduled with the membership, our labor attorneys, to discuss a lot of these changes and a lot of these updates in between the general membership meetings, in particular with reference to the vaccine and those deadlines. So does that answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes, it does. And thank you very much for that detailed response. I just wanted to get reinforced from what I'm understanding that this is very important points. And so curiosity in terms of, again, communication, I wanted to be sure from the department and from the membership 798 that the members were aware of these dates and what was issued within that. And again, I know that it's with any member that complies in terms of at least taking a dose or such. But my last question, since I have you on the line, Mr. Giacalone, is there's a line 3, and I know you don't have it in front of you. There's a very important paragraph. And I'm just going to read the first line that says, the union and the city shall form a joint labor management committee, responsibilities for dissemination of accurate, updated information about COVID-19 vaccine and related corona issues and city and fire department policies. I'm going to stop there because it goes on to 4 other lines. But my question is there such a body of labor management between the city and the union?
I can speak to that if you like, Vice President Nakajo.
Yeah, I'm going to direct it to you, Chief. Excuse me.
Yes, we meet on a monthly basis. The administration does with labor, and it has been folded into that. And so I can tell you that at every meeting we have, COVID has been one of the topics we have discussed. But yes, we do meet every month.
Okay. Mr. Giacalone, did you want to give any input to that question?
Sure, a little bit. Chief Nicholson is correct. We do have and continue to have our monthly labor and management meeting where a lot of these issues are discussed. We also have had meetings with ERD with City HR. During all of this, sometimes those haven't always been as fruitful as we have all liked, but because like I said, sometimes the information was changing a lot faster than we could keep up with. But yeah, we have had meetings both with the administration and with City HR and the Employee Relations Division or Department, ERD.
All right, thank you, Mr. Giacalone. Madam President, that does conclude, but it just wanted to answer all of my clarity questions that DHR is also, because my question, aren't they involved in this with the relationship and discussions between the department and Local 798? Thank you very much. I yield my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Stoughton, Commissioner Covington, yes.
Thank you, Madam President. I did have a question for the chief. I'm wondering, I made so many notes here. Let me find the specific question. The member did ask for a separation, to be considered for a separation, perhaps for 2 years or some other length of time. Chief Nicholson, are those granted? Have they been granted in the past?
I have never granted a 2-year, not separation, leave.
Yeah.
And would not do so in this case. But if the member would like to submit paperwork to Human Resources, he is welcome to do that. But no, we don't. I don't allow people leave typically for 2 years. It really impacts, if we start doing it for one person, another person, it impacts our staffing and our operations.
So you have granted some leaves, but not of that length of time.
Correct.
Well, what is the maximum length of time you have granted a leave?
Probably, I think the maximum is likely 1 year.
1 year? And this has been common practice among your predecessor?
Yes, for a maximum.
For a maximum of 1 year. So it is not uncommon for someone to be on leave for up to a year.
I wouldn't say that it is common, but that it has occurred. It's not common at all, and it's really done on a case-by-case basis, and in line with what our needs are. Because if I put someone on hold on leave for 2 years, I can't backfill them, and so that really creates issues for us. And
No, I understand that 2 years is quite a length of time, but that 1 year, in your view, in the past, has been possible.
Depending upon the circumstances, yes.
Okay. So my follow-up question is that it would be perhaps disruptive to have numerous people on leave for a year. Would it not also be somewhat disruptive to have so many people leave the department at one time?
We have been hiring and managed to stabilize our staffing at this time. But again, we have a lot of retirements coming up, and especially with EMS, which EMT Chedwick is on that side of things. He is the only employee that is going this route. I'm
sorry, that's going which route?
This route of not getting vaccinated and being separated. He is the only one from EMS.
Well, the question I think is broad enough for anyone, any uniform person in the department.
So we have been managing, and we had a class of, I can't remember how many, 35 graduate in December. We have another class of 50 in right now. So we are in a much better place than we were even 3 months ago.
Yes, and I'm very relieved about that. And as you know, commissioners have been behind you 100% in terms of increasing the number of classes so that we could be fully staffed. But it takes quite a long time to have a seasoned member. All right, I'll ask this as well. Have you made any requests of the city health officer about any flexibility in these things, since you're not making the decisions and they are making the decisions?
So sorry for interrupting you, Commissioner Covington. I just want to caution the chief that to the extent that any of those conversations were attorney-client privileged, she cannot discuss them here.
Where can she discuss them, if at all?
With her attorney.
Right.
with her attorneys.
Okay, no, that's fine. I fully understand that. It's, we have our parameters. I fully get that. And those are all the questions I have at the moment for the chief. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Yes.
Feinstein, if I could follow up with some additional questions that came up following Commissioner Covington's questioning.
You may.
Okay. Maureen, do I have 4 minutes left? Am I reading that right?
You're muted, Maureen. You're muted.
You have 4.5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Chief, you testified earlier, you answered questions earlier about leaves of a year.
Yes.
In what context are those leaves taken?
It may be a family issue. It may be education, but we've never done it we haven't done it in this case.
Health issues?
Sorry, so
Mr. Chedwick, you'll get an opportunity to question.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's have Ms. Stoughton finish first.
Chief, are employees also given, or do they also take leaves of absence based on a disability?
Yes.
And are those also a year, typically?
It can be up to a year, yes.
Okay. But has the department, in your view, ever granted an extended unpaid personal leave of absence in this type of situation?
Never.
Thank you.
All right.
Follow up, please.
Well, let me give, we got to narrow things down here. Please let me give the member an opportunity to ask whatever question he has and follow up to Ms. Stoughton.
No, I'd like to refer to Mrs. Covington regarding this.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stoughton, you said you made reference to a situation like this. This is an unprecedented situation. So
it is, Commissioner Covington, and my point was there is usually a compelling reason for granting these, and not just that an employee is unwilling to comply with a general order from the chief of the department, and that we have no indication that this will change at any particular time. In a year, there's no indication that the current health order will be revoked at any time. And so it wouldn't just be a year leave of absence. It would essentially be asking the department to hold a position for an undefined period of time. And so that was my point with the question.
I see. So if a defined period of time was requested, then there would be some consideration.
I mean, that would be up to the department, and I would have to let the chief answer that. But the point of my question is it would be unprecedented compared to the department's past practice, where there is
Of course, if somebody wants to go surfing around the world for a year and they would like a year off, then I am positive that the chief would not approve that. But that's not what we're talking about here today. All right, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
All right. Let me just inquire as to Ms. Stoughton. Who is your next witness?
The city arrest, subject to rebuttal.
Oh, okay. So there's no further evidence. Let me just see. The court reporter, would she like a short break, and would any of the members like a short break?
Sorry, President Feinstein, before we take a break, I meant to ask all my exhibits be entered into evidence.
Yes, there was an echo on that. But exhibits, I have 1 and 2, will be admitted into evidence. All right, Commissioner Morgan.
Yes, a 5-minute break sounds great right now. Nobody object.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Russi.
I just wanted to clarify for the record. I believe there's also an Exhibit 3, and that was the document that Commissioner Nakaja was referencing when he was talking to the chief, I think.
Oh, you are right.
No,
Wait,
there's
maybe sorry,
No,
this
that's
one there's
number
only
2.
2. I'm wrong. I think in the other cases there were
Okay.
3. I apologize.
All right, and we are talking about, just to be clear, the letter to Mr. Buford of 798 from artist Graham and the documents that are attached to that letter, correct? We're all on the same page here?
Right. I was referencing the letter to the union, and I thought that was Exhibit 3 because it has been in other cases, but in this one it's not. So it's just 2 exhibits. That's all we need.
Yeah. All right. So those are the exhibits presented will be admitted. All right. And I think, yes, Vice President Nakajo.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Mr. Giacalone from 798 for responding to my questions, but also with his appearance. Thank you.
That's very kind, and I don't anticipate that he's going anywhere. So we'll see him in 5 minutes. All right. Actually, I'm looking at it, and I'm gonna just exercise my prerogative, and let's do a 10-minute break, because 5 minutes always turns into 10 minutes. So let's reconvene in 10 minutes. Okay, and that will be it's 11:52, so 10 minutes from now.
Where? Oh, Heather's.
I think we're all back.
Oh, I'm looking for Vice President Nicasio, and he's in this little rectangle right next to me. So what can I say? My apologies. All right. We can go back on the record, please, Madam Court Reporter. And I believe we're ready to proceed with the member's case. And I'm not sure whether EMT Chedwick will be presenting his case for himself or whether Mr. Giacalone will.
Seems like I'll be doing that.
Okay, and I see an affirmative head nod from Mr. Giacalone. So just confirming that that's reflected in the record. All right.
Okay. Ready?
As if the court reporter's ready, we're ready. And she's nodding that she is. So
Okay.
yes.
Great. So as Mrs. Covington has cited, we are very much in unprecedented times. This is nothing that any of us had to deal with, our parents had to deal with. This is a whole different scope. So on those grounds, I do want to submit for a leave of absence, and I'm hoping not to be separated, and that all goes to the fire commission. But I don't wish to give up my job working for the fire department. I've worked there since 2015. I've been a paramedic in San Francisco since 2009. Seen countless amount of calls. So Chief had mentioned, many people have been hired to, stand in my position to make sure that levels have remained as well as they can as far as the amount of calls that have gone out in the city. So basically, yeah, I just want to ask not to be separated at this point, so I can have time to submit continued administrative leave unpaid. I don't want to be a burden on the department. That's not my objective at all in this process. I'm only one member in EMS at Station 49 that is asking for this. So it doesn't seem like an undue hardship to the department to grant me a possible one leave, like Mrs. Covington had mentioned about, I'm not going surfing for a year. God, I wish I was going surfing for a year. but I'm not. I'm gonna remain a paramedic, keep my licensing up, and keep on the path. But besides that, I don't really have any further things to say.
All right. I appreciate that. Do you have any witnesses that you would like to call?
No, I didn't want to bring any witnesses to this
All
this thing.
And we have your pre-hearing statement. Although normally those they don't come into evidence; they just are part of the record. So yours will be included in the record, just as the departments will be. And let me just ask. Mr. Giacalone, did you wish to add anything?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. And then, yes, Commissioner Covington.
No, if you're finished with everyone else, then I just had a question.
For the member?
For the chief of the department.
Okay,
if not, that's okay. I'll wait until everyone else has spoken, and then I can ask a question of the member.
Okay.
Because I understand that the member is now, and we can't go back to the chief. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a little bit unusual.
Well, we don't have to be unusual.
Or we already are. I don't know.
Yes. I guess I should say we don't have to be more unusual.
Yes.
So
there you go. I saw Vice President Nicasio's hand also.
Yes, I'll defer to him.
Sir.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Commissioner Covington. I'd like to ask a question to the member at this particular time.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chadwick, EMT Chadwick. Am I calling you properly, EMT, or are you a paramedic?
Well, I do work. I've been a paramedic for San Francisco for 5 years before I got my full-time status as a EMT, because I did downgrade as an EMT, getting rehired with the department. But yes, I hold both paramedic and EMT basic levels.
Okay. We wouldn't be here, and I'm going to cut to the chase because we spent some time, that you were fully aware of the orders that were issued by the department and the health director. And basically, you didn't conform to those particular two orders that you're being charged with. I'm paraphrasing, but I think I'm pretty accurate. My question to you is, do you have any intention at all to ever take the vaccine?
Due to, like I said, my father and my brother's mitral valve prolapse and having to get open heart surgery, I don't see myself, because that is a risk, being the cardiac risks that the vaccine does hold. So no, I love the fire department, but it's not worth my health and safety to continue working there just to get the vaccine.
Okay, thank you for your answer. What in the Pacific answer, what do you wish to obtain within a year's absence or extension if you're never going to take the vaccine?
Basically, just a lot of new information coming to light that, I am not a threat to the department, to my to all my patients that I come in contact with, to my coworkers. I just hope to see that, that is shown, because a lot of things have changed since the beginning when this first came about, and a lot of things are being shown as kind of false, and a lot of things, things have settled down a lot as far as, this epidemic.
Okay, so you're basically, and what I'm picking up and summarizing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're waiting you would think within a period of time that some policies and orders would change to accommodate someone like yourself who would never take the vaccine. I'm just paraphrasing, but that's kind of a yes or no answer.
Yes, like the chief said, general orders have been amended in the past. So yes.
Okay, and you understand again the consequences of your action as you maintain your beliefs.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Madam President, I concluded my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Nakajo. Commissioner Covington, did you wish to follow up?
Yes, thank you. I had a question about the future and whether or not you might take the vaccine, but let me go back to the beginning. Before anyone knew that there would be, a lessening in the horrible numbers that we were seeing. So when the general order was issued, you didn't follow the general order. So we can't go forward in time from the general order. It's the actions of everyone at the time the order was issued. So even though things have slowed with COVID and Omicron and and whatever else might be coming down the line, the order was issued and you were compelled within a particular period of time to make your decision. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is correct. But as we've seen, a lot of things have changed. Like I said earlier, the vaccine was supposed to prevent you from getting COVID and prevent the spread, which have both deemed false. So yes, I initially I did not want to be a guinea pig and possibly see what could possibly happen to me through getting this vaccine, because I've always been a healthy individual and I knew my immune response could handle COVID-19. Like every other firefighter that has been in the department, they've been able to return to service after getting COVID-19.
All right. I'm wondering, never mind. Madam President, I don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the other commissioners?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Morgan.
Please, thank you, Commissioner Morgan. Proceed, please.
Yes, paramedic Chedwick. I was reading some of your opening or your written opening statements or introduction, and I think you mentioned you compared COVID to the flu, and I was just I heard that before. If I'm mistaken, I think we hit the threshold of 1 million deaths in the United States. Am I correct?
Yes.
I think I am. Someone correct me if I'm not. 1 million deaths, right? My question to you, Mr. Chedwick, how many people died from the flu last year or this year? Do you know?
Believe it or not, it's been a lot less because of quarantining. Through COVID, we haven't had as many deaths as we had in previous years because of all the precautions we've been taking with COVID-19. But as of October, San Francisco General has always been keeping numbers of the COVID deaths or people that have died and have had COVID. But as of October, it was just around 500 deaths in basically a city that's close to 1 million people. So those are pretty, you know.
That 1 year, is that 1 year?
That was since the beginning of pandemic until October of 2021, there was just around 100 deaths that have come through San Francisco General Hospital in a population that we have of close to 1 million. So those are pretty good odds as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but you know, one death is not good. I'd like to think, you know,
of course, but that's just natural, but that's unfortunate, not life.
Good. All right, well, follow me here. I'm gonna paint a scenario here. I'm gonna ask you a crazy question.
Perfect.
Humor me here. Humor
Absolutely.
me. Okay. Okay. What if this bad guy just grabbed some person from the general public and put a gun to his head, and you were present, and he said, "Hey, either you take the vaccine shot, or this, you know, random person from the public is dead. Would you take the vaccine shot?"
Oh man. Well, I love the community of San Francisco, but wow, I don't think I would.
Wow, you wouldn't? You wouldn't do it then?
There's too many question marks. There's too many question marks for me.
And at some point, aren't we here to serve the public? I'm hearing a lot of me, I, and
well, I've seen the public.
You know, my immune system's great, and this and that, and I'll get over stuff. And
no, and that
I think we're, you know, to some degree, you know, we got to serve the public, right?
Well, yeah, and I've been doing that since 2008. I can't tell you how many people I brought back to life from heroin or fentanyl overdoses. That once they come back alive, they say, "Get out of here! I don't want to go to the hospital." And I'm like, "No, we just brought you back to life. Do you understand this? It is in your best interest, and I really want you to go to the hospital because we don't know how long this Narcan is going to last in your body." But I still get the bird, and I just say, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't. I want to help you further, but you know, sometimes our hands are tied, and but helping out the community, that's what I got into this business for. You know, it's definitely not about the money.
I'm sure you did great work out there.
But yeah, it's like I love strangers, and I love every patient that comes in back of my ambulance, and healing people just through my talking alone. You know, I have a psychology background, and I love talking to people, and I notice their vital signs get better just through talking and just being there with them and supporting them. And you know, I have a connection with every patient that goes in the back of my ambulance.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, just trying to, you know, get a little clarity of where you're coming from. You know, just unfortunate that you know that you know it's the health order, and it's probably, you know, even more so with your position. You know, you're in a high risk area a lot more than the regular firefighters. You know.
Well, going into a burning building, I think that's a little bit more risky than what I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. To that regard.
I'm a paramedic, but you know, a little flu bug that I can't even see, or a COVID bug I can't even see, is not as scary as flames that are surrounding me.
Yes, and yeah, I'm probably stepping out on a limb, but you know, I know we spoke earlier about the leave of absence from work and stuff like that. Well, I mean, you know, some of these cases, you know, might result into a non-disciplinary, you know, separation, which I would imagine technically is the same thing. You know, it's not a disciplinary separate. You know, it doesn't look like it would be anything negative on your record. So, I mean,
no, absolutely not. But you know what? I really want to continue working for the fire department in San Francisco. You know, it's my baby, it's my home, it's where I basically started my EMS career, and I love the city. When I was a kid, I'd see the ambulance, and that was one thing I was thinking, man, that would be awesome to be on that ambulance, tearing through that city, going to help somebody.
Good. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions I have. It was a pleasure talking to you, Paramedic Chedwick.
Thank you.
Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Further questions? I have one. I have a couple actually for you because I read with care and on more than one occasion, more than once, your pre-hearing statement that you submitted, and I have great respect for the work that you do because I've seen what a mess medical situations can be, and be they from car collisions, bike collisions, heart attacks, strokes, just the whole variety. But I got to ask a couple questions. You state in in it, and I don't know if I'm going far afield here, but in your statement that you're, I'm just trying to find it here, but yes, a confirmed Catholic, and you were an altar boy. And I also have, with me a newspaper article that says Pope emphasizes moral obligation to get vaccinated. And I just bring that up. And I understand you weren't granted a religious exemption, but that also coupled with, what everything that I have read, and I understand, I would be concerned if I had a family history of heart trouble too. But that the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, which was an option, doesn't pose the heart risk. And yet, I think you did say you wouldn't even consider that.
The Johnson & Johnson has been known to cause clots.
Yeah, in very few people. And
I had a patient, believe it or not, I had a patient that the day she got her booster, she got a clot in back of her eye and lost sight in that eye. She didn't want to get the vaccine. Her daughter pressured her into it because she was being put into an assisted living home, and she really didn't want to get it, but she wanted to not make any waste for her daughter, so she got it. And that same day she got a clot in the back of her eye and lost eyesight. So that's a little bit too much of a coincidence for me, unfortunately, to see that I've had patients. What's that?
One patient.
Yeah, that's one patient, but I've had other patients that have had problems in relation to it. So
okay, so you're just not going to consider getting any vaccine at any time?
Until it's possibly FDA approved.
Probably. It has been.
No, not the one that's available that's available to us. That vaccine has not been FDA approved. They do have one that is not available to us that they have had gotten FDA approval, but that's not available in this country, unfortunately. Pfizer has not made it available to us.
And if it were, would you get it?
Possibly, if it had been more tested and FDA approved, yeah, I gotta trust somebody that has done a little bit more checks and balances than just the people that actually have done research on their own vaccine to deem it safe. I mean, the FDA is supposedly out there to protect us. So if they did testing and they approved it, yes, that would make it a lot more palatable for me to possibly take a vaccine like this.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Since I now have misplaced my agenda, I think our next question, I mean, we've had closing arguments. Everybody has asked their questions, yes?
The city has not had a chance to present its closing argument yet.
I'm sorry, okay. I told you I misplaced my sheet, so thank you. Okay.
Are we ready for me?
I'm ready. So's everybody. We're ready.
Thank you. The evidence introduced at the hearing today established that the health order recognized that there were certain high-risk settings where public health needs require that all persons be fully vaccinated. The health order therefore imposed a vaccination requirement for employees who work in these high-risk settings. The health order permitted exemptions based on a sincerely held belief or disability, but specified that even if employees had a sincerely held religious belief or a disability, employers may still not be able to accommodate those unvaccinated employees in the workplace. The chief testified that EMTs such as EMT Chedwick regularly enter a high-risk setting as part of their day-to-day job duties. It is impossible for EMT Chedwick to perform the essential functions of his position if he is not able to enter a high-risk setting. The chief also testified that, relying on the health order, she determined that the department could not accommodate even those individuals who had a sincerely held religious belief or a medical condition because of the heightened risks that an unvaccinated employee would pose to the public that the department serves, as well as the city's workforce. EMT Chedwick has admitted that he understood his obligations to comply with the vaccination requirement and that he understood the consequences of not complying with those obligations. EMT Chedwick still made the decision not to get vaccinated. And you heard him say repeatedly throughout these proceedings that his decision was based on, in part, his belief that he would be fine, that he had natural immunities and he could get through the COVID-19. I think he compared it to a cold. But it's not just EMT Chedwick's health the department has to consider. It has to consider the health and safety of the citizens of the state of San Francisco that EMT interacts with on a regular basis. The department has to consider the health and safety of patients with comorbidities, vulnerable populations, where we don't know vaccination status. So while EMT Chedwick is focused on himself and his own health, the department has to focus both on the health of its employees and also the well-being of the public that we serve. The chief testified that that EMT Chedwick can no longer perform the essential functions of the position and therefore must be separated. And there was talk today about a long-term leave, and the chief discussed the implications to operations and hiring if such long-term leaves are granted. Again, and as Commissioner Morgan pointed out, this is a non-disciplinary separation. He is free to reapply for the department if there is ever a time when he meets the essential functions of the job. He does not meet the essential functions of the job. He cannot perform the essential functions of the job, and there is no indication that that is changing anytime soon. Therefore, the department asks that the Fire Commission uphold the chief's recommendation for a non-disciplinary separation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stoughton. And I'm sorry, I'm losing track here.
I'd like to comment as far as what Jennifer has been talking about on her closing?
Okay.
Well, it's his time for closing argument.
It
He
is
gets
his
5
time.
minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, I go into patients, high risk environments where patients have it, and I could possibly spread it. But as we've seen, anybody vaccinated or unvaccinated can spread this COVID-19. So I don't deem any higher risk to any of my patients that I come into contact than anybody else that is vaccinated. We've seen this. That's why there's such a problem with all the vaccinated, so many vaccinated people in the department right now spreading it to themselves or to possibly their patients. So vaccinated or unvaccinated, we've all seen that you can still spread the COVID-19. So that argument is ridiculous. In the sense that, I can still maintain my job as an EMT or paramedic and not deem any danger to others through masking. That's why we have the orders to wear N95s. So we protect our patients, we protect our coworkers, we protect anybody we come into contact with. This vaccine's not going to change that. It's not going to change, me being more spreading it worse than anybody else, as we've seen. So, asking for an extension on, and so I could possibly get an administrative leave because we've seen, the chief has mentioned that they have hired many more people to cover the problems we've had with staffing. So I'm not really going to be much of an issue as far as, there being not enough employees because I'm not in the back of the ambulance, basically. So pretty much that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any rebuttal argument from the city?
Yes.
Okay, please.
So, EMT's Chedwick's statements and opinions about the how and when COVID spreads for vaccinated and unvaccinated employees is just that. They are opinions. They are not evidence in the record. The evidence in the record shows that the health officer of the city of San Francisco said that vaccinations are the best way to protect public health for all surges now and that we may have in the future. And so that is the evidence that is before this fire commission here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so why is it that so many vaccinated?
That we've
okay
concluded.
But everybody's getting COVID and they're vaccinated. So I'm just saying.
I do understand that is your opinion. I do.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Okay. All right.
Because we know the numbers.
We've concluded
okay.
Here, and we are now needing to decide on deliberations, which is our next step here. Do we have and the question is whether we deliberate in open or closed session. Do we have a motion from any of the commissioners one way or the other? Yes, Vice President Nicasio.
That we move into closed session for deliberation.
All right, is there a second?
Yeah, Commissioner Morgan, I second that motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
I will take a roll call vote. President Feinstein, how do you vote?
To deliberate in closed session.
And Commissioner Covington, how do you vote?
Closed session.
The motion is unanimous. It is 12:40 and we will go into closed session.
All right, and Madam Secretary, do you have
We still have people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, do you have a means of contacting EMT Chedwick or Mr. Giacalone and Miss Stoughton when we're done
I
deliberating?
have their emails.
Maureen, can't you put them in the attendees list so that they can see? Yeah.
Yeah, let me.
With my advanced computer skills, that wouldn't be coming from me. So thank you, Madam Secretary.
Oh, Steve Giacalone must have just signed off because I can't get to him now. So I'm going to put us into closed session, and it's going to mute, I believe, everybody.
Okay.
I was going back and forth to the lawyer. Oh, no. No, I'm just keeping her on her toes. I mean, everybody got fired. But the fact is, I told the commission, it's like, I want to try to, get an extension on my administrative leave for up to a year. And one of the commissioners like, well, yeah, can this possibly be granted? And they're like, well, it's unprecedented. And she's like, well, these are pretty unprecedented times. Well, yeah. And she's like, well, it's not like he's going out surfing for a year because I guess someone did that. Ask for a leave.
I believe we're all back in open session. The time is 1:04. Item 1. Report on any action taken in closed session as specified in California Government Code Section 54957.1A5 and the San Francisco Administrative Code Section 67.12B4.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brad Ressi, Deputy City Attorney. On behalf of the Commission, I will disclose under the statutory sections that the Commission Secretary noted and the Commission's procedural rules that by a unanimous vote of the Commissioners present, the Commission found that the Department proved by a preponderance of the evidence that the member failed to comply with the vaccination requirement in the city health officer's order, as well as the chief of department's order, and upheld the chief's recommendation of a non-disciplinary separation in this matter.
Okay, item 2, vote to elect whether to disclose any or all discussions held in closed session as specified in San Francisco Administrative Code section 67.12a. Is there a motion?
Yes, Commissioner Morgan, I'd like to make a motion. We keep it in closed session.
To not disclose?
To not disclose, yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second that motion, Madam President, Commissioner Nakajo.
You're muted. Okay, I've unmuted you, President.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
I'll do a roll call vote. President Feinstein, how do you vote?
In favor of the motion?
And Commissioner Covington, how do you vote?
Aye.
The motion is unanimous. And will there be an announcement on findings of?
Sure. I will just provide a summary of the next steps here. The commission will issue a letter probably tomorrow memorializing that this decision that was made today. After the reporter prepares the transcript, the commission will adopt proposed findings of fact that will be sent to the member. Additionally, the letter that will be sent out tomorrow will specify that the member has the opportunity to an administrative appeal of this decision to an administrative law judge with the state's Office of Administrative Hearings. And there'll be proposed rules enclosed with that letter that would govern said appeal if it happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3, adjournment.
Is there a
Move that
motion?
we adjourn.
Thank you. Commissioner Covington, is there a second?
Yes, I second that, Commissioner Morgan.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. It's been moved and seconded
President Feinstein, how do you vote?
to adjourn.
And Vice President Nakajo, how do you vote?
To adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned at 1:07. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.